So these are going to be the best Prince Renathal decks so far, and obviously this deck is subject to change as people refine different builds, but these are going to be the 5 decks that came out of the gates just way stronger than the other ones, at least from what I've seen. And the first one is going to be Ramp Druid. Basically, Ramp Druid having the 10 extra HP gives you about 1 extra turn on average to get your ramp, and once you get to your ramp, you're basically unbeatable. So having 40 cards in your deck isn't that big of a problem when you have insane amounts of draw, as well as you're being able to play multiple cards a turn, all of which are high cost. So overall, it's just gets a big buff, and the minus of usually running Prince Renathal is not actually that big of a minus in Druid. So the next deck on the list, and the one that I think is personally the best, is going to be the Curse Warlock variant with 40 cards. And I will say that there is a version of this deck that has the quest, and it's very good into the mirror match, but I think it is worse into basically every other deck in the game. Whereas this version is more flexible. You don't have to start with the quest in your hand every single time, so your opener is a little bit more flexible. You can theoretically outplay the other version with this version, because if you're able to give them a lot of curses on one turn, you can actually make them overdraw their quest reward sometimes, which can completely catch them off guard. And in general, I think it just has a little bit more removal and flexibility that the quest version doesn't. Both of which are very good though, because Warlock is just in a great spot. With the meta slowing down, it gives you a lot of time to stack up your curses more effectively. Emulate's going to be extremely powerful, and since you're not being rushed down as much because you have more HP, you just have more time to get to your late game draw, removal, and big stuff. So honestly, this one is probably the best in my opinion, if you want to try one out, but there are going to be more on this list. So the next deck on this list is going to be Control Warrior. Now, what they did with Warrior was they made it super dominant, nerfed its durability, and then a week later with this new card, rebuffed its durability to be just a little bit lower than where it was before. So it's still going to be a very strong deck. The only problem is it lacks a little bit of consistency now. So basically what you do to minimize the issues is you run a couple more draw cards and you run a couple more dragons, so that way you can still activate Kazakusan fairly consistently. And then come late game, you're still going to be the super durable warrior that relies on treasures to win the game late game, or a couple of really big minions. Obviously this list is not refined. It is day 2, so other people might find that some cards work better than others. You guys can experiment, but I do think that Control Warrior is going to be a very good 40 card deck. So the next deck on this list is going to be 40 card Reno Quest Priest, and basically this deck turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. At first I thought this deck was going to be a meme, because Quest Priest was already like kind of meh, if not bad, but having the extra HP means that you're a little bit more durable. You're able to run more tech cards and flexible cards, so you're not going to lose a lot of matchups, because you have a response to a lot of matchups now. As you can see by the curve, you have a pretty good spread of mana, which will allow you to finish your quests pretty consistently. The only issue is drawing the shard after you finish your quest, and you can run Sir Finley if you want. I just don't like how he like kind of messes up the consistency of the deck, because he's kind of a dead draw if you draw him early. But for the most part, this deck has been an absolute pleasant surprise. So you've got a pretty cool win condition in completing the quest, a lot of durability, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of things that you could tech in or out. For example, if you don't like the Mothership, take it out, run a Smothering Starfish. You don't like Deliverance, take it out, run an extra 7 or 8 drop so you can have more late game power. It's up to you. This deck has so many different ways that you can build it with 40 unique cards. If anything, it's just the most fun deck on this list, and I would highly recommend it. And the last deck so far is going to be 40 card Rogue. This deck was actually inspired by Warshak, so if you haven't checked him out, I'll probably put the link to the video where he played this deck in the description. I did change it a little bit. I wanted to put in more draw so I could more consistently get to the cards I wanted. But basically, you have 40 HP in a class that usually has no way of actually healing or gaining armor, so it makes you more durable against aggro. But you still have insane like late game value with a ton of randomly generated cards, so you're able to still compete, if not even compete better against a lot of the control decks in the game. So overall, one of the biggest weakness of this deck being the lack of durability is helped a little bit with this new card, and the biggest weakness of this deck being now having 40 cards is mitigated a little bit by running some extra draw cards with the extra card slots. So overall, I actually had a blast playing this deck as well because of all the randomness. So I'd say that this is another one that you could play for more of a fun factor. But even still, this one went 4-0, the Priest one went 4-0. A lot of these decks did very, very well, at least early on. So I'd recommend trying them out. And if you guys don't like them, or if you guys think other decks are better, let me know in the comments. I do know that a Quest Hunter is good. I just don't think it's quite as good, but it's definitely still solid. So if you want to play Quest Hunter, that is the other one that I would recommend that I'm not putting on the list, but still deserves an honorable mention if you want to play Hunter, because you have more spells in your deck, which means you can theoretically do more damage with your upgraded hero power. So overall, these are the decks that I would recommend if you want to play with Prince Renathal. And again, if you disagree with any of them, let me know in the comments. If you like this and you want me to do more tier lists, whether they be for like specifically one style of play like Renathal or Highlander or just normal decks, let me know, because I could do tier lists for like multiple different styles of play if that's what you want. Like top aggro decks, top control decks, top Highlander decks, top Renathal decks. You get the point. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.